Please.
Kate Vargo. Dan Delahunt.
Here.
John Fike.
Here.
Blake Harris. Greg Peugeot.
Here.
William Siemens.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have the minutes from the April 18th meeting. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read them. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve?
I'll second that
We
motion.
have a motion second. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. To the audience out there, this is an adjudication hearing, so if you're going to give testimony, you need to be sworn in. So if you'd raise your right hand, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, to help you God? So
I
say you
do.
do. You are sworn in. When you are coming to give testimony, I need you to step to the podium, state your name and your address, either business or home, so that they can record it. The first item on the agenda is 209 Meg Street. It's an area variance to zoning code section 1129.14 to allow the construction of a residential structure which creates a rear yard setback of less than required in an R2F two-family zoning district. We have comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning of this site is, excuse me, zoned R2F two-family residential. The surrounding zoning to the north is R2F two-family residential. To the east is PF Public Facilities. To the south is downtown business, and to the west is R2F two-family residential. The surrounding uses of this site are residential. The existing use of this site is residential. The proposed use is staying residential. The variance being requested of this property tonight is a 10.5-foot rear setback, which is a relief of 13.5 feet. The zoning code requires a minimum of a 24-foot rear setback at this location. The proposed rear setback is 10.5 feet. All other setbacks are met. The setback relief for this property could enable a built condition that fits within the neighborhood and would enable the owner to house a tenant in a new home. However, in a review of the proposed ranch-style house, the applicant is currently considering building on the property. The design of the home would put the entrance of the primary facade south, so it'd be facing the adjacent business, not the street frontage. Staff is asking the architect and the applicant and the owner to reconsider and to beautify the front facade, which would then match the streetscape better and more in line with the city's plans. Based on that, planning staff's not opposed to the variance being requested at 209 Meg Street and suggests the following conditions upon approval. That's that all applicable permits must be obtained to the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction. There's no condition on adjusting the facade. It is simply a staff recommendation to reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request? If so, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name's Heather McCurdy. I'm the site coordinator for Clayton Homes, and I'm working with Ms. McKenzie on the replacement of the house. And I'm the one who submitted.
Is Ms. McKenzie the owner?
Ms. McKenzie is the owner, yes.
Thank you.
I submitted for the variance and worked with the staff on coming up with the best proposal to move forward with this project. And as you can see, we were able to meet all but the rear. And actually, we do have room to move forward a couple feet and still be compliant. We just thought it would appear better to put it back just a little bit farther, but we can make that adjustment if need be. Along with, I wasn't aware there was a zoning requirement that there had to be a door and a window that faced the street, but we're not trying to be contrary to the community by any means.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add to that.
Yes, please.
So for your first comment, the 12.5 feet is the minimum allowance for a front yard setback. So as it's proposed is the least forward you could bring it. So we'll keep that as it is.
I apologize, I misunderstood that.
No worries at all. The second comment is there is not a zoning requirement for a front door facing the front facade. It's simply just a aesthetics recommendation. There could be building code requirements that we are not aware of as staff, but there's no zoning code requirement for that.
Please continue.
Excuse me?
Please continue.
The only other comment I had was, as the chart shows, the previous house was non-compliant in 3 of 5 areas. The new house is going to be compliant in 4 out of 5 areas of the zoning code. And I'm here to answer any questions that you gentlemen might have.
Okay. We'll see if anybody else wants to speak, and then we get back with you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would speak for this variance? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this variance? Okay. We'll come back to the board. Questions, comments?
How open are you? Sorry. How open are you to moving a front door to face Meg Street? Is that something that's relatively simple to do in this design?
Yes.
That was my question.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have any, since you're willing to do that, that makes me happy. Not thrilled of a modular home in that area of town because of things that are improving. It doesn't, there's nothing historical about a modular home. And I know that what the city's trying to do up and down Market Street, as an example, is improve the housing stock. This is better than a burned-out home, but in my opinion, not much. So be that as it may. There's no other questions, or a motion is in order.
I would make a motion to approve this variance, with the understanding that the front door will face Meg Street.
I guess I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion?
Is that also subject to staff conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, what are the staff conditions again, please?
Make sure you get all your permits from all departments.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure. All right, would you call the roll?
John Fike,
No.
Dan Delahunt.
I'll say no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
No.
Greg Peugeot.
Yes.
The variance is not approved.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Is it strictly on the type of home, or so if I can come into compliance on setbacks, it's not over the type of home, correct?
The setbacks are the only thing we're dealing with.
Okay.
That and the conditions we can put on are building permits, and you agreed to move the door to the
Oh,
front.
absolutely.
But if that was a one-story outhouse that met zoning requirements, you wouldn't be here. It would be a building permit issue.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sure.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 2035 First Street, an area variance to zoning code section 1143.08 C1 to allow the placement of a mural that exceeds the maximum allowable area allowance for signage in this area. We've received a letter. Also, is that something that you're going to read in, or can we just say that we have it and put it in the file?
Staff does not plan on reading that tonight. That was an addition. The owners and representation couldn't make it tonight, so that is just a letter giving their case.
Okay.
But the site at 2035 First Street is zoned CR Commercial Recreation. In all directions, northeast, south, and west is also zoned CR Commercial Recreation. The surrounding use of this site is both business and residential. The existing use of this site is a marina. The proposed use is staying a marina. And then to reiterate, this variance is to allow signage that exceeds the maximum mass factor requirements for a wall sign. The wall sign itself is going to be approximately 1,500 square feet. It's going to be a mural on the southern-facing building facade along First Street. This is a newly constructed building. The code has a maximum mass factor allowance of 222.75 square feet for exterior wall signage on this specific building facade. At approximately 135 feet by 11 foot of proposed area for the mural, it would cover just around 1,500 square feet. The total coverage is anticipated to be smaller than this, but due to uncertainty of the artist and their rendering, they're asking for a little more than they think they'll need. In August of 2023, the site plan of this building was brought to the Planning Commission for site plan approval. Prior to the meeting, staff had discussed with the owner. We recommend placing a mural on this facade to further beautify it and also give some representation for the lake and how this is now blocking it. So it was a compromise between the city and the owner. In December of 2023, the applicant applied for a destination development grant from Shores and Islands, Ohio to complete this project, and Planning Commission provided a letter of support for the project. In March of 2024, staff was notified that they were awarded a grant from the Shores and Islands, Ohio, and began working with them to the next steps of implementing the project. Ms. Blair is here to speak on the letter that the city gave and also the letter from Shores and Islands.
I'll just mention the letter of support the Planning Division submitted to the applicant on behalf of the mural, just focused on the Sandusky Public Arts and Culture Commission has elevated mural projects as highest in importance to beautify the city, according to them, and that this would be a highly visible location for residents and visitors, especially for the neighborhood and for its placement on the future Sandusky Bay pathway.
Can I, at this time, make sure that Blake is now as here?
Sure thing.
I cannot vote on this. I have to abstain.
Okay.
I work for Hodes on that.
The main building.
Project, but
Okay.
not the mural, and I don't want to have any improprieties there.
Sure thing. We have a quorum without
Still
you.
have a quorum.
and So we'll do that. That's totally okay. I have a couple extra comments from planning staff. The proposed mural placement would not be contrary to the general purpose, intent, or objectives of the zoning code or the comprehensive plan. Permitting new murals in the city has been stated as high importance in the adopted 2018 public art plan and the 2022 through 2024 public art plans, and are aligned with the goals and recommendations in the 2021 downtown master plan. The mural has been awarded funding from Shores and Islands, Ohio as a destination development project conditional to this variance. Planning staff strongly supports this proposal request, creating a new piece of art to beautify the city, and we recommend that the request be approved at 2035 First Street, the following conditions, and that's that all necessary permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any work being started. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request? We know that the Hodes are not coming, but throw that out just in case. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this request? If so, please step forward. Seeing none, I come to the board for questions, comments.
Just a comment that the Hodes with all the storage units on First Street seemingly have tried to do a nice job with the outside of their buildings or the current buildings. So I look forward to this mural.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to add that I think it's pretty refreshing just to see the implementation of art just being extended beyond sort of its typical confines, like such as the parks and downtown and things of that nature. So to see this stretched out down along First Street, also where it will indeed be very visible to the masses, I think is just neat, and I certainly appreciate them bringing this to us and making this a pretty neat addition to the city.
Second that, a motion is in order.
Yeah, do we know what the mural's going to look like, though?
I got
was
the
that-
impression, no, that it was.
Through the chair, we have a rough idea, but we aren't going to present it tonight as what we're bringing forward is the size of the mural, not the content of the mural. So we aren't bringing it public yet.
Okay. I recall, approving the mural for like Paddle and Climb, or the paddle bar, but they had it all for us, and, that was helpful in making the decision, just knowing exactly what's going up, because, anything could be in a mural. But beyond that, I echo the comments that my colleagues made.
They
Through the
do
chair.
have one at what's the other marina? Sunrise. It's on the front of their building.
Okay. It's not ringing a bell. I know that one of the old marinas, which is now a resort, Airbnb resort, did a mural
Okay.
on the side of their building on River Ave, which is another example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through the chair, if I may.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, sorry. I couldn't recall if we had shown the paddle bar mural to the board when we brought that forward, because it's really clear with First Amendment that we are only looking at the size and location, and that's the only part that's evaluated for the variance. I have seen the draft of this, and it is representative of the city in the ways that we had hoped to see. And it will be a hand-painted mural, so they already have an artist that they're working with. So it's not going to be like, the Sunrise ones are actually vinyl. This will be a hand-painted mural. It's the same muralist that did the most recent one with the warbler birds and the native plants on 303 East Washington, and also a bunch of the internal ones inside of the marketplace. So they've been working on a concept, and it celebrates the city. There's a number of elements on there to celebrate the city.
Great, thanks, that's helpful.
Gentlemen, the motion is in order.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the presentation, the mural, and allow them to go forward.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Greg Peugeot,
Yes.
Blake Harris,
Yes.
John Fike,
I abstain.
Dan Dillahunt.
Yes.
The variance is approved. The next item on the agenda is 889 Cross Tree Lane. It's an area variance to zoning code 1129.14 and Admirals Harbor Residential Planned Unit Development, ordinance 97082, section K, to allow the construction of a residential structure which creates a rear yard setbacks of less than the required setback in an R175 single-family zoning district per ordinance number 97082, section K. We have staff comments. Is there anything additional you wish to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the zoning of this property, as you mentioned, is a planned unit development, Admirals Harbor Residential Planned Unit Development to be exact. This specific part of the PUD is called Harbor Lagoon Subdivision, and the lot that we're looking at tonight is Lot 32. Based on the ordinance 97-082, Section K, this Lot 32 must comply with the R175 single-family zoning district standards. The surrounding zoning of this site is the same thing as part of the PUD. There's just different lots, but all the surrounding lots have specific requirements as well. So the lot to the south, Lot 33, must comply with R160 single-family residential. To the east is the reserve land of the planned unit development. It's undevelopable. To the west is lot number 31, which must comply with R175 single-family residential districts, and then to the north is non-applicable as it's the Sandusky Bay. The surrounding uses of this site are all residential. The existing use is residential. The proposed use is residential. The variance being requested is a 34.79 rear yard setback, a relief of 15.21 feet to the R175 single-family zoning district standards. The applicant is in the pre-process of building a new single-family home at this site. Due to the large width of the house and the unique semi-horseshoe shape of the home does not comply with the setback standards. Admirals Harbor Residential Planned Unit Development lists that lots 15 through 32 must comply with the R175 standards for all front, rear, and side yard setback standards. The R175 district, which this reflects to, requires a 50-foot minimum rear yard setback. Once again, the proposed rear yard setback is 34.79 feet. All other setback requirements are met. The house footprint will have about a 70 to 75-foot buffer between the closest facade of the house to the south, which would be the closest to this specific variance being requested. And the rear yard is surrounded by the bay and wetland preserve with no neighboring rear properties. Based on this information, staff has no concerns with this variance request, and planning staff supports the variance request at 889 Cross Tree Lane and suggests the following conditions upon approval. That's that all applicable permits are obtained through the Building Department, Engineering Department, Division of Planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Be me. My name is Steve Schill. I'm Nikki and Ken Ganley's architect for this proposed home. I brought with me Brian Vandenhood. He's the contractor for the house if there are any construction questions.
Hey, Steve, sorry to interrupt, but we need a business address as well.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wrote it on the paper. I
No
thought it was
worries.
done. 1650 Crossings Parkway, Westlake, Ohio.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we're here to request a variance because of the unique nature of the lot. We don't have a rear neighbor. We have Sandusky Bay. And with the unique shape of the house, it's kind of a quasi side yard we thought we were complying with, and now it's a rear yard. The house that Mr. Ganley raised was further back than this, and I think it had a lesser setback, and we assumed when he bought it that we were going to be okay with this type of design.
Great.
Just a question then, since his house was further back, isn't there any way you could move yours back to comply?
I don't-
Or since it's only in that one spot, could the
I think we looked at that, and I think we can't because of this horseshoe shape. He wants to take advantage of the views of the whole bay, and on, I guess that's the northwest side, we really don't have much room to move or pivot it. If we pivoted it any way, I think we're going to start getting really close to the water.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add to that comment. I spoke with Brian with Dutch Valley Homes, who I believe is in the audience. Him and I have been talking extensively about this project. No matter what way they turn it and move it, if it stays as the current footprint, it's almost impossible to put it without a variance, in which way you choose. So this was the best way forward to get this accomplished. We even talked about removing a piece of the house, but the owner was not willing to do so. So here we are.
Did you talk to the homeowner that's on, I guess it'd be the south side?
I did not. I don't know if Brian did.
Please state your name and address.
Brian Vandenhout with Dutch Valley Homes at 222 Concord Lane in Hinckley, Ohio. I did have a few conversations with Chuck, who is, sorry, directionally speaking, I don't know which way that is. That would be the neighbor to this side. He has seen where the house is staked. He's a very nice gentleman and compliant, whatever. More or less, it's whatever you need, go ahead with. I also, just for the record, have spoken with Rob Krimus, who is the HOA president of the subdivision. He has given me his written approval of the location of the home as well. As Steve has mentioned, yeah, it seems that the old home was close to 20 from the rear. A couple of the other surrounding properties seem to be as close or closer on the side, so we're just hoping for a little bit of leniency, given that this home is going to be a beautiful home that's going to add to an already beautiful subdivision. And the way that it's oriented, I should say, is really, in my opinion, not going to be impeding any views of any of the surrounding neighbors.
Is there any in the audience who wish to speak against this request? Seeing none, back to the board for questions, comments.
So Kramus is the president of the association. We have had no other comments from anyone in the neighborhood staff has received.
Not that I've heard, no.
Yeah, it was a pretty big house that was there before, so.
Did all the neighbors that could have views impacted by this, they all get letters and have the opportunity to be here tonight to express any displeasure?
Correct. So standard practice is 300 feet of the surrounding parcel. So there were, everyone within that 300-foot distance was notified.
Great.
Okay.
If there's no questions, the motion's in order.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the plan as presented with any provisions that staff is interested in providing.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, if you'd call the roll.
Dan Delahunt,
Yes.
John Fike,
Yes.
Blake Harris,
Yes.
Greg Pujol.
Yes.
The variance is approved.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No problem.
The last two items on the agenda I have a conflict with, and I'm going to excuse myself from the meeting and sit in the audience. Which means our stellar
hot seat.
Me.
Mr. Delahunt, with all these years of experience, gets to take over.
1503. Gee whiz. Which one are we in here? 1503 Columbus Avenue?
Yep. Well,
Columbus
Dan had warned
Avenue,
you.
correct?
Say it again. Sorry.
Columbus Avenue, 1503
Yeah,
Columbus?
1503 Columbus Ave.
We have to swear you in, John?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, probably because I didn't swear myself in there, I was doing the swearing in. So.
Well, then you raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You're sworn in. So we're talking about 1503 Columbus Avenue, an area variance for zoning code section 112914 to allow the construction of residential structure addition, which creates a rear yard setback of less than the required setback in an R2F, two-family zoning district. Staff?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Take it
Chairman.
away, staff.
This site is in fact zoned R2F two-family residential. To the north is R160 single-family residential. To the south, east, and west is zoned R2F two-family residential. Existing surrounding uses of this site are all residential. Existing use of this site is residential. The proposed use is staying residential. The variance requested is a 5.3 rear yard setback. Excuse me, that is not correct. A 26.5 rear yard setback with a relief of 13.5 feet. The applicant is in the pre-process of building an addition on the rear of the existing single-family home on Columbus Avenue. Due to the large front yard setback, the addition does not comply with setback requirements. The zoning code requires a 40-foot rear yard setback at this location. The proposed rear yard setback is approximately going to be 26.5 feet. All their setback requirements are met. The home is an example of a historic architecture in Sandusky, but is not registered on the National Register of Historic Places as a landmark in Sandusky. So it's not subject to design review by the Landmarks Commission. However, staff recommends the applicant consider using Sandusky Preservation Design Guidelines for direction in choosing exterior facade design materials and colors to best complement the original structure if they have not done so throughout this process. Based on all this information, planning staff does support the variance requested at 1503 Columbus Ave with the following conditions. That's that all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction of this addition. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this project?
John Fike, 224 East Water Street, Sandusky. The Wheels are proposing to remodel their kitchen, and part of that work is going to require them to remove the stairs to the basement. They do have an outside stairs that is not covered, and the back of the house there is a landing and a stairs that is not covered. So what we're proposing is to, in essence, build a structure around those items. So in essence, there's already something there, but it's there without walls and a roof. And it's our desire to enclose that and then make it match in with the rest of the house. That's the whole purpose of what they're trying to do. So they've got an area that when they step in off their garage, the driveway that goes to the door, they can come inside and then either go up or down.
Is it attached to the garage or no?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So I have in my notes there's a 26.5 rear yard setback. I believe when I was doing the staff report that I may have found, based on my research, that it's 26.5 feet, not 30 feet. So I would just like Mr. Fike to confirm that he's confident it's 30 feet, and therefore we can ask for a 30-foot variance, not a 26.5-foot variance.
And through you, Chair, so just to be clear, so the garage is actually staying in place then? Is that correct?
We're not moving the garage.
Okay.
The existing landing and stairs comes off the back of the house
Right.
now. and it's well short of the garage and short of the driveway. What we're going to do is basically enclose that.
Oh, very good. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody else want to speak in favor? How about opposed? Anybody opposed that would like to speak? Anyone on the board here interested in making any comments?
No.
If not, we're looking for a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve this variance with the typical staff considerations.
Second.
Gwen, could you call the roll, please?
Okay. Craig Pujo,
Yes.
Blake Harris,
Yes.
Dan Delahunt.
Yes. That's approved.
Thank you.
So the last on the menu here tonight is 1827 Clinton Street, an area variance to zoning code section 112914 to allow the construction of a residential structure which creates a front yard setback of less than the required setback in R2F, two-family zoning district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This site is zoned R2F 2-family residential. North is GM General Manufacturing. To the east, south, and west is R2F 2-family residential. The surrounding use of this site are residential and vacant land. The existing use is residential. The proposed use is going to stay residential. The variance being requested is a front yard setback of less than the required 25 feet, so it's a 10-foot setback and a 15-foot relief. The applicant is in the pre-process of building a single-family home at this site. The original home was determined a total loss from a fire. The applicant is planning on rebuilding on the same footprint as the previous home. A new home on a new foundation would exceed money available to rebuild at this location. The original structure had a legal non-conforming front yard setback. Per the zoning code, a home determined 60% or more of a total loss must conform to the new standards. The owner is looking to rebuild in a swift time frame. A variance must be obtained before they seek any permits. Just to reiterate, this is a 10-foot front yard setback variance being requested. The staff has determined that the setback relief of this property would result in a built condition that fits the character of this property and the neighborhood, and would enable the family to continue to live in the neighborhood despite losing their former home to the fire. Planning staff supports the requested variance at 1827 Clinton Street and suggests the following conditions upon approval. And that's that all applicable permits are obtained to the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any new construction of this house. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody wish to speak in favor?
John Fike, 224 East Water. We're the architect for Erie Metropolitan Housing Authority. What our hope is to have the house demolished and build it right back on the same footprint where it was. It looked very similar to what it was with a couple differences. The second floor of the house actually did not meet code. It had 2 bedrooms up there. They had a fire, and I'm glad no one got hurt because it had windows, but the windows weren't big enough to meet code, and it would have been very difficult to get out. So it's our proposing back to Erie Metro is we are actually going to raise the roof on the front part of the house. But other than that, it's going to look very similar to what was there, and we want to put it in the same location. The rear part of the house was an addition, and we're hoping to tear the house down, but save that piece of the foundation, assuming that it comes down okay, and then build from there back up. The front part of the house will be all brand-new foundation, though.
What did you say was in the back that you hope to change?
It was a 2-story house, and then it had a 1-story addition to the rear. Now, it's all coming down, but the front part, the foundation's in bad shape. The rear section, which was an addition foundation, is not. And assuming that when they tear it down, that they are careful enough that the foundation stays intact, we hope to reuse it.
Yeah, but you'll have new walls in the back as well.
Everything will be new from ground up except for the concrete block foundation of that rear addition.
You know, we're talking on the footprint, we're talking is that a front porch there, an enclosed porch? And that's the footprint we're speaking of.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, we could build it back with no front porch, but then the house wouldn't look the same.
Right.
That probably still wouldn't get you into compliance, though, would it? It doesn't look like a 15-foot front porch.
No.
Anybody else? John, you good? Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anyone opposed?
please.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Green. For property, I'm here representing my
Mr.
mom.
Green, where do you live?
I live at 1615 Pierce Street.
Thank you.
Okay, the property where this house sits at, my mom owns that property on the other side of the alleyway. Okay, so to you, Mr. Fike, I'm trying to have a complete understanding of what the intent is with that property. You're not interrupting the alleyway, you're just going straight back, tearing it down and then going straight back as far as how it sits now. Is that what's the plan is?
Mr. Green, apologies, but you need to direct everything
Okay, I
to
apologize.
us. Technically, you can't talk to the audience.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir. Okay.
But you can ask those same questions to us, and then
Okay.
we can, if, assuming we see it's appropriate, we can call Mr. Fike back up and ask him those same questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my concern is, okay, there's no interruption to the alleyway. Okay, there's no interruption as far as the property lines. The house is being demolished and rebuilt. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Through the chair for Mr. Fike, yeah, that is correct. It is being demolished and rebuilt on the existing foundation. It sounds like through Mr. Fike, it's going to be pieces of it are going to remain and pieces are going to be replaced, but it's going to be the same footprint.
Okay.
So the alley stays the same.
All right. One more question. I don't know who's responsible for that property. The grass needs to be cut. It hasn't been cut. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Okay. It hasn't been cut all year. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sir. Any comments from,
Mr. Fike, could you come back up just to answer the alleyway?
Excuse me, my pen. All right, thank you.
Is this property, when it's rebuilt, going to encroach on the alleyway at all?
It's not going to encroach on the alley at all, no. It's going to be on the exact same footprint. The existing building does not encroach on the alley at all. In essence, we're almost 12 feet off the property line, and then there's the alley, and then into the rear, we're about 68 feet off the rear, which is an alley. And that's where the house is. It's going to remain. But I'm going to make a note that we tell the owner to cut the grass.
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments from the board here?
None for me.
Looking for a motion then?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve this variance with the direction of the staff.
Second.
Could you call a roll, please?
Dan Delahunt,
Yes.
Greg Pujol,
Yes.
Blake Harris.
Yes.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you.
Would you like to come back up now, Jen?
Adjourn the meeting? Or
Do we have anything next month?
We do have items for next month. We will have a meeting.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
You don't have anything for me, though, right?
I don't believe so.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
To adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.